Such an honor to be doing it with you today because I've attended Manning as Premier, and I know that this is a place where we talk about ideas, where we talk about the things that bring us together, the ideas where we can generate new ideas and talk about how we can prevail, those of us who care about creating a better future for our kids. And I want to just stop before I begin and say a very, very, very special thank you to Preston Manning. A great debt. I think all of us here owe him a great debt. That he has shown incredible perseverance in the face of long odds, and I can tell you for me personally, when I was going through really tough times in the first 2 years after I was elected leader and Premier, but before my first election, we had some tough years. And Preston Manning was there with me at caucus meetings, giving me courage. And Preston Manning has, throughout his political life, given all of us as Canadians courage, and there is nothing more important in politics than that. So thank you, Preston Manning. So, I want to talk to you today about some of the ideas that I think, and the opportunities that I think, are going to allow us to recreate a future for our kids. One that we are starting to see slip away, I think, in Canada. Because the pollsters tell us that Canadians are a lot less concerned about debt reduction, about growing government, about higher taxes than they once were. And so I want to talk a little bit about where I see those opportunities. Because I think we have a chance now and an obligation now to come together. But let me ask you this. Is anybody out here asking yourselves, what the hell is a Liberal doing talking to the Manning Conference? Because if you ask me, am I a Liberal? Yes, I am a Liberal. I'm a BC Liberal. But so is Rachel Curran. So is Gwen Morgan. So is James Moore. So is Stock Day. So is Preston Manning. And we are all BC Liberals because in the province that I come from, we don't have a choice about that. We have to come together. And if we want to make sure we are not outnumbered and beaten by the NDP. And you can call me whatever you want, but I can tell you I've seen worse. My son, I remember he was about 9 years old. He was a goalie for his hockey team. And we're driving home one Sunday from hockey, and he was getting chirped really bad by this really team of tough guys from the Fraser Valley. And he was in the car, and he's really upset, and I'm giving him the talk. I'm saying, hey, Mitch, listen, buddy, the thing is that what people say when they say bad things about you, it's more about them than it is about you, and I'm giving him the whole mother talk. And he looks at me, and tears streaming down his face, and he says, how do you know, Mom? How can you possibly understand? I'm a goalie, you're a politician, and nobody says bad things about politicians. But no matter what they throw at us in British Columbia, we know that we have to fight together. We have to put aside all those labels that are very limiting, and we have to make sure that we fight those who would outnumber us. Because if we don't, we know that our province will be condemned, as it once was, to spiraling debt, to growing taxes, to thousands of people who have to leave our province, the most beautiful place, I would say, in Canada. They have to leave our province in search of work. All because our coalition has split apart. And that's what we are fighting for. We are the only province where New Democrats are always at the gate, waiting to take control. Where every single election depends on a few votes in a few ridings. They don't call British Columbia the left coast for nothing. We have attracted a lot of those folks over time. And that's why free enterprisers, all of you in this room, and maybe some people that haven't been in your coalition yet, need to get together, just as we have in British Columbia since 1940. Because when the left wins, we all know that citizens and workers and businesses are just left behind. And as we like to say in our province, as Gwen once said to me, if you don't think you're part of the solution, then you're probably a New Democrat. So ladies and gentlemen, coming together is one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today. How important it is that we build a coalition of people who care about all the same things. Because we can't stand any more bloated government and higher taxes and people out of work across this country. And we haven't had to wait long for the New Democrats in British Columbia to show their true colors. We all know they have intended to soak British Columbia's economy for a long time. They do that every single chance they get. But they wasted no time in making sure they go and soak Alberta's economy, Saskatchewan's economy, that they put Ontario at risk, that they put our entire country at risk because they don't understand or care about economic growth. And so the first thing I would like to talk to you about today is how people who care about jobs and growth can prevail, even in a time when all the pollsters tell us that we can't, because Canadians don't care about those things anymore. One of the things I think people can all connect with is, well, those of us who lived it anyway, are those days when mums and dads on my street in Burnaby were declaring bankruptcy because of the recession in 1982. Now, memories of 1982 have evaporated. I see a lot of people here who were alive in 1980. I see a lot of people here who were born in 1992, not 1982. But I think there's still something that we can talk about that we all share in common. And that's this. It's the way we were raised. In my house, my dad was a teacher, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. There were six of us in that household. We had one car, a 1965 blue Rambler, station wagon. We didn't take vacations that we couldn't drive through. My mother made us drink that evaporated, that powdered milk, because the government used to subsidize it, and it was cheap. We were not wealthy. But Jim and Mavis Clark had one central mission, and it is the central mission of all parents today as well. And that's to make sure that our children have it better than we did. That's what parents want for their kids. Jim and Mavis saved their money. They scrimped and saved every single day so that they could leave something better for me, my brothers, and my sister than they had when they were growing up. So when Jim Clark died, he paid off his mortgage. He had paid off his credit cards. He had prepaid his funeral expenses. And he'd made sure he left us better off than he was when he was growing up. Because he was a proud man. And what kind of a parent leaves their children with debts to pay? So why is it, if it's not okay for parents to leave their kids with debt, if it's not okay for parents to leave their kids worse off than they were, why is it okay for government to do that? Why is it okay for government to rack up billions of dollars in debt that this generation will never, ever pay for? Why is it okay for us to leave our kids with that burden, to limit their choices, to give them less opportunity than we have? We will be the first generation that leaves our kids worse off than generations before us. That is not what my parents believed in. That is not what we should do as Canadians. We should not leave our children worse off than we were. And you know, there's lots of governments in this country that have taken a crack at that. To pay tribute across the political spectrum, it was Preston Manning that pushed the federal Liberal government to make sure that we got our finances under control. He pushed. Jean Chrétien and Paul Martin did it. And they made sure that they left this country a little bit better than when they came in. Now, we took that mission to heart in British Columbia. We made it the central element of everything we did as a government for 6.5 years. So we came out of an economic downturn. We took a $1.2 billion deficit. We turned it into 5 consecutive balanced budgets. I'll tell you, if we had Alberta's revenues, it would have been a whole lot easier to do. And it is something for us, all of us in this room, to ponder. How is it that conservative Alberta, with its massive revenues, 4 decades of conservatives, had got addicted to spending out of control? Because it's just not true to say that BC New Democrats or national New Democrats are the only ones that get addicted to big government. They're the best at it. But there are lots of other examples in this country of governments that have done it almost as well. We cranked down government spending to the lowest level in Canada, from 6% down to 1.7%. Our last budget had a $2.8 billion surplus. When I retired, we had put BC on track to eliminating our operating debt for the first time since 1976, and we were the only province in Canada with a AAA credit rating.